That dream of freedom we see in speeches and culture in the United States can be guaranteed to any individual in its territory, even if they come from completely different cultures, traditions, and religions. But now, following the theme of Islamic integration and immigration, I will show you the 12 American states with the largest Muslim populations and how each of them generates controversial rules that are perceived negatively by Muslims in their regions. In 12th place, Georgia. In the regions of the state of Georgia, the Muslim population reaches 123,000, or 1.15% of the local population. The city of Atlanta stands out as the main center of integration for this community, which is mostly composed of African, South Asian, and Middle Eastern immigrants. However, this integration has not been easy. The construction of mosques in suburban and rural areas has faced significant resistance. In several cases, construction proposals have been blocked by local regulations, which many interpret as a form of religious discrimination, especially in predominantly conservative Christian areas. Georgia has been involved in heated debates about stricter immigration laws, which have directly impacted Muslims. Deportations and detentions of immigrants from Muslim-majority countries, particularly Africans and Arabs, have increased, generating protests against these policies. In 2017, a school in Atlanta sparked controversy by suspending a Muslim student who refused to remove her hijab, a small incident that brought discussions about religious freedom in state schools to the forefront. In 11th place, Florida. With a Muslim population of 128,000, about 0.59% of the population, the cultural diversity in major cities like Miami, Tampa, and Orlando has facilitated this presence but also created challenges. Muslim religious traditions, such as fasting during Ramadan and daily prayers, generate curiosity but also discomfort in workplaces and schools. For instance, the inclusion of prayer spaces in public institutions remains a point of debate. One of the most controversial cases was a legislative attempt to prevent the use of foreign laws, such as Sharia, in Florida courts. Although the Muslim community never attempted to impose Sharia, this proposal generated protests and was seen as a direct insult to Islamic religion and culture, creating a climate of tension. Similarly, resistance to the inclusion of Islamic holidays in the school calendar led to negative reactions, especially in areas where the Muslim population is more prominent. In some counties, attempts to accommodate practices such as fasting and prayer breaks were rejected, primarily by more conservative groups. In 10th place, North Carolina. The Muslim population in North Carolina reaches 131,000, or 1.25% of the population. The community has grown considerably in recent decades, particularly in cities like Charlotte, Raleigh, and Durham. Most local Muslims are immigrants from South Asia and the Middle East, who have brought with them traditions and customs that sometimes clash with the local culture. Many Muslims strictly follow their religious practices, such as wearing the hijab and observing daily prayers, which has led to misunderstandings in public settings. There has also been resistance faced by some female students wearing the veil in schools, sparking debates about religious freedom. Furthermore, there was strong negative backlash to the community surveillance program implemented after September 11th, which monitored the Muslim community more closely. The practice of monitoring mosques and religious leaders, widely criticized by civil rights groups, made many Muslims feel distrustful of the state's decisions. In 9th place, Pennsylvania. The Muslim population in Pennsylvania reaches 149,000, or 1.15% of the local population. Philadelphia and Pittsburgh are the main community centers. Most Muslims in Pennsylvania are immigrants from Africa and South Asia, as well as African Americans who have converted to Islam. In the cities, mosques are important spaces for congregation, and religious practices are evident in daily life. But disagreements arose over measures such as imposing stricter security checks in Muslim communities, especially in areas with high immigrant concentrations. The city of Philadelphia, in particular, faced controversies over the creation of prayer spaces in public schools, generating debates about the extent to which institutions should accommodate religious practices. Additionally, the construction of new mosques in suburban areas, such as around Pittsburgh, encountered local resistance, often justified on the basis of infrastructure concerns, but which the Muslim community viewed as religious prejudice. In 8th place, Virginia. In Virginia, the Muslim population is around 170,000, or 1.96% of the population. The growth of the community, especially in the northern part of the state, has been significant, with many immigrants from Ethiopia, Pakistan, and other Islamic nations. Cities like Alexandria and Arlington have become epicenters of this religious diversity, with mosques and Islamic centers playing a key role in community life. However, this growth has also brought some challenges. The implementation of stricter security policies after September 11th, including mosque surveillance and investigations against Muslim community members, generated a climate of distrust. The temporary ban on entry from certain Muslim-majority countries in 2017 directly affected many Virginia residents, causing feelings of exclusion and leading to widespread mobilization. Educational measures also sparked negative reactions, such as the debate over the inclusion of Islamic holidays in the school calendar, which faced resistance in some regions, with arguments that the educational system should not adjust to specific religious traditions. In 7th place, Maryland. In Maryland, the Muslim community is one of the most prominent, with around 189,000 people, 3.06% of the population, mainly concentrated in urban areas like Baltimore and its surroundings. Many Muslims in the state are immigrants from South Asia, the Middle East, and Africa, and their presence is marked by visible religious practices. Although Maryland has made progress in creating public spaces for religious practices and the inclusion of Islamic holidays in some areas, not everything happens without resistance. In 2015, the attempt to prevent the use of foreign laws, such as Sharia, in Maryland courts led to protests from the Muslim community, which saw the proposal as an insult to their religious identity, even though Sharia was not institutionally applied. Another controversial issue was the construction of mosques, where local groups raised objections based on urban planning and environmental arguments, but which the Muslim community interpreted as a bias against their religion. In 6th place, Michigan. Michigan has about 242,000 Muslims, 2.4% of the local population. The city of Dearborn is the center of the Islamic community, with one of the largest concentrations of Muslims in the country. Many immigrants from countries like Lebanon, Yemen, and Syria have settled in the area. However, Michigan also faces challenges regarding the treatment of the Islamic community. The state was a focal point of protests after the implementation of the travel ban on certain Muslim-majority countries in 2017, directly affecting families living in Dearborn and Detroit and generating protests against policies seen as discriminatory. Additionally, the construction of new mosques, although common in Dearborn, faces resistance in areas outside the city, where local groups raise concerns about traffic, arguments that are often perceived as thinly veiled forms of Islamophobia. In 5th place, Texas. In Texas, where around 314,000 Muslims live, or 1.07% of the population, the Islamic community is diverse and mainly concentrated in major cities such as Houston, Dallas, and Austin. Texas has one of the largest Muslim populations in the country, with origins ranging from South Asia and the Middle East, as well as African Americans who converted to Islam. Despite the strong presence in urban areas, tensions arise regarding security and immigration measures. Following the 2015 terrorist attack in Garland, the state implemented stricter surveillance of the Muslim community, particularly in mosques. This has generated negative reactions from the Islamic population. For example, in 2017, a school district in Texas was criticized for not accommodating the needs of Muslim students during Ramadan, leading to protests and debates about religious freedom in schools. In 4th place, New Jersey. The Muslim population in New Jersey is approximately 322,000, 3.46% of the population. The areas of Paterson and Newark are home to the majority, primarily composed of immigrants from South Asia, the Middle East, and Africa. The significant Muslim presence is reflected in the daily life of these regions, where it is common to find mosques, halal markets, and Islamic cultural centers. But even with this visibility, disagreements arise. In 2016, a proposal to ban Sharia in New Jersey courts led to widespread protests, as the Muslim community saw the measure as unnecessary and an attempt at stigmatization. Local resistance to mosque construction in suburban areas also sparked conflicts, with community groups using zoning arguments to block new religious projects. Additionally, in some professional sectors, Muslims face challenges related to wearing religious attire, such as the hijab and beard, increasing discrimination lawsuits. In 3rd place, Illinois. Illinois is home to around 474,000 Muslims, 3.7% of the population. The majority of the Islamic community is concentrated in Chicago and its surrounding areas. The city hosts one of the largest Muslim populations in the United States, with immigrants from the Middle East and South Asia. The Muslim presence in Illinois is noticeable, with many mosques, community centers, and Islamic schools spread throughout the region. Since the 2000s, Chicago has been a focal point of federal surveillance over Muslims, creating a climate of distrust and fear. The construction of new centers has also faced resistance, with some local communities expressing concerns about the cultural impact. Consequently, several incidents of Islamophobia have occurred, including verbal and physical attacks on Muslims, especially after international terrorist events. In second place, California. In California, the Muslim population is 505,000, or 1.27% of the population. The state's cultural diversity is reflected in the Islamic community, primarily composed of immigrants from South Asia and parts of Africa. Cities like Los Angeles and San Francisco are centers of Muslim activity, with relatively strong Islamic integration in the region. Muslims in California are active in their religious practices, and celebrations such as Eid are widely observed, with participation from both Muslims and non-Muslims. However, it is not very different from other regions when it comes to immigration and surveillance. In 2017, the state was the stage for protests against the travel ban affecting certain Muslim-majority countries, with many Californians viewing the measure as discriminatory. The rise in Islamophobia also led to mosque attacks and incidents of discrimination, such as some employers refusing to allow the use of the hijab. Mosque construction plans have also faced resistance, with concerns about the impact on the area, which the Islamic community often interprets as a form of religious prejudice. In first place, New York. Greater New York has 725,000 Muslims, 3.59% of the population. This Islamic community is one of the most diverse in the country, with a strong presence of immigrants from the Middle East, South Asia, and Africa, as well as African Americans who have converted to Islam. New York City, in particular, is a major hub of Islamic activities, with many mosques and cultural organizations spread across the 5 boroughs, especially in Queens and Brooklyn. Muslims in the state follow strong religious practices, with many mosques crowded during daily prayers and celebrations like Eid. Despite this, disagreements arise regarding security policies that often target the Muslim community. The secret surveillance of Muslims by the New York police, revealed in 2011, generated widespread backlash. Mosques, Islamic bookstores, and even restaurants frequented by Muslims were monitored, which was widely criticized as an attack on religious practices and civil rights throughout the country. These are the ways some predominantly Christian states in America respond to certain Islamic practices within their territory, which can sometimes be more liberal or not. Tell me what your impression is about this topic. Feel free to share, and I'll be reading all of them. If you're interested in this type of content, I'm leaving another video on your screen about the security of Japan. I'll be waiting for you there.